It's only 9:30 and the temperature is already approaching 80 degrees. This is the new normal. I garden in zone 7A and it's not even summer yet. We're in the middle of our second heat wave. That's right, second. It's going to be close to 100 today and it's supposed to be that way for the rest of the week. So I'm making this video. This is my second video on how to conserve water in your garden throughout the summer, because unfortunately this is the new normal and this is going to continue to happen, and if we don't, then you're going to probably lose some of your plants, maybe all of them. So this is number one on my top 10 list of how to save water. This is clearly, obviously, my makeshift water catchment system, where this I had laying around the house, but you can buy these for about $4 or $5 at the big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's. And obviously the water goes into this barrel. This was given to me. This was an old pickle barrel that I purchased. This is 55 gallons. So this is a great, easy way to save money on water in your garden. I'm not doing these in any particular order, but I am saving the best for last. If you stick around, you will find out my hands down, without a doubt, easiest, well, not easiest, but most efficient way to save water in your garden. And I'm willing to bet that probably 90% of you guys have never heard of it before. So stick around. Number two, this is something, unless you're new to gardening, you've probably seen this a dozen or more times. This is a shade cloth. It is important to protect your plants, especially the ones that are not heat tolerant. Um, I'm thinking of tomatoes that once you get past, well, certain types of tomatoes, once you get past 85 and you get into 90, 95 degrees with the sun beating down on you, it's going to either slow their growth or they're going to shut down. And this is not just for, like a day, but if this goes on for days and days, the definition of a heat wave is 3 consecutive days or more of 90 or above temperatures. We're already there. I believe this is the third day. So if you don't have a shade cloth, if you don't know what kind of shade cloth to get, you might want to check out the video that I did recently, and I will post a link to it. This is my larger shade cloth that I'm going to put up here later on in the day. But that's number two. And number three is not something to show you, something to tell you. People like to use sprinklers. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing against using sprinklers to water your garden. But if you put them on a timer, then more than likely that sprinkler is going to come on the days that you don't need it to. And you're going to use a lot of water. About 5 years ago, I learned the hard way. I planted several plants in my garden that I weren't able to water. I mean, I could have, but I think it only rained 3 or 4 times the entire summer. And boy, the amount of water that I used on those plants ended up costing me more than buying them from the store. I had to let some of them go. That will never happen again. And at that point, that's when I started educating myself on how to deal with the heat, because I don't like getting into the whole conversation about climate change and global warming. For me, and I've been doing this for a long time, it's hotter every year. So for me, it's a fact. And I'm adjusting. And one of the things that I do is I plant drought resistant plants. So turning off the sprinklers is, I would say, in the middle of that list somewhere because we've already covered using the shade cloth. We covered the makeshift uh, water catchment system, and I'm going to talk about mulch. This is something I just laid down recently. If you have it, use it. The mulch will protect your soil from drying out too fast, and it works really well. Now, again, you've probably seen these. You probably said, "Oh, God, this is nothing new here," but actually, there is quite a bit new. Number one, I think that people should start combining these methods. You can use mulch. You can also use the shade cloth. If you use the mulch and the shade cloth, you are really adding more protection to your garden. But what about if you use the mulch and the shade cloth and drip hose? This is my drip hose. I was behind in my garden this spring, so I'm just dragging this bad boy out. And this is one of two that I have. This is the most, in my view, one of the most efficient ways of watering your garden. Instead of just taking a hose and just sprinkling water, spraying water all over the place, you put this exactly, precisely where you want it along your plants, and you turn it on low, and boom, you are in business. Your plants get the water they need, and you're saving money. So, on top of the drip hose, um, I'm going to go on to the next thing, and this might look a little odd to you. This is just a regular uh, cloth. This is what I use to keep the deer off of my beans, and I put this up every night, every evening. It's inexpensive and doesn't cost much money. These last me for a couple of years. They're very lightweight, and the reason why I'm using this, think about it. If you're a plant and you're out in this heat, if you can talk, what would you say? You would be screaming. It's going again. It's going in a upper 90s today, and your plants are out here all day long, and there's some of them are suffering. I mean, if you're growing, I occasionally grow ghost peppers, and ghost peppers love the heat, so they're fine. But man, they're going to be saying, "Hey, come on, give me a break, give me some shelter." This is better than nothing. If you don't have a shade cloth and you have a sheet, just an old sheet, you can use that to cover your plants, and it'll cost you a dime. So that's something that people don't talk about, something that people don't think about, but it actually works. Now, I'm gonna I'm gonna make a confession now, because this is something that people also do not talk about, and that are these black grow bags. And I have them. I use them in my garden, and they're convenient for a lot of reasons. They're good in a lot of ways, but when it comes to the summer heat, for me, this is a big no-no, because number one, they dry out faster than ordinary pots do. That's a given. But on top of that, why is it you don't see people wearing black during the summer? Because it's too freaking hot. When you garden in black pots or dark pots, then what's going to happen is that heat is going to be drawn to that material, drawn to that pot, and it's going to accelerate the amount of water that is being drawn away from your plants. So I'm not saying throw them away. I'm saying be aware that when you use these, you're going to use more water. You're going to probably water more often. And if you can avoid using them, this one is empty. It's empty for a reason. And you ought to take that into consideration. Like I said, when you look at this as a whole, there's some of these things that you may be using already, some that you may have heard for the first time, some that you are considering using, but consider using these in multiple ways or in a combination of ways. I tell people all the time, I'm moving on to the next one. I'm not even sure what number this is right now, but I tell people, if you want to know whether your plants need to be watered, stick your finger in the soil. And if the soil is dry down to, an inch or two, then you need to water it. Some people don't like doing that. Some people don't want to be bothered with it. So this is something I brought a couple of years back, and it's a moisture meter. Basically tells you, stick it in the ground, and it tells you whether it's time to water your plants or not. It's that simple. It's not rocket science. It's not hard at all. So, yeah, that's on my list. I'm giving you guys the kitchen sink today, giving you everything, all of the ways that I have learned and ways that I actually use to conserve water. Because, like I said, it's just June. It's not even considered summer yet. So this is going to go on for a while. So by covering your water source, by using the moisture meter, by trying to stay away from the dark pots, by using your catchment system, you can save a considerable amount of water. But I'm not done yet, because over here, this is where the family hangs out. These are a couple of projects that I did on my buy it or build it. But this here is another catchment system, but this one is different than the one that I showed you guys in the beginning of the video. This is the tarp that I recently put up just to give a shade for this area here. But I saw this wide area. I forgot the dimensions of this tarp, but it's shifted recently. I'm going to move this barrel, but when it rains, where does all that water go? It runs right off the side, and until recently, it ran into here. This is, I believe, a 45-gallon drum. So that's 45 gallons of free water. That's in addition to what's on the other side of the property. So where are we now? Number one, turn off your sprinklers. Number two, the moisture meter. Number three, don't forget to use mulch. Number four is the shade cloth. And if you don't have the shade cloth, use the cover. Number five, try to avoid using black pots if you can. Number six is what I just showed you, the makeshift, the catchment system that I put here. Number seven we went over, which was the soaker hose or drip hose. And number nine, to cover your plants to keep them from getting too much sun, too much heat. And here we go, number 10. Save the best for last. If you're still with me, you're going to learn something that shocked me, and it requires a little bit of work, but boy, it's a huge payoff. And you're looking at it. This is straw. I never considered using this in my garden before. This particular straw is for the chicken coop and the chicken run that the frugal son-in-law came and spent the entire day on Saturday. The frugal son-in-law and the frugal daughter put this together, but I digress. This is like gold in your garden during the summer. About, I forget how many years ago it was now, I dug up the garden, an area that I was going to use for, in this case, cucumbers. And I removed about the first 8 to 10 inches of soil. And I planted 6 to 8 inches of this straw. It might sound odd, even strange, but I laid out 6 to 8 inches of this straw and I covered it with the soil. And when I planted the cucumbers, not only did they thrive, I got 57 cucumbers out of that area that particular summer. And I'm convinced that the reason why is because when you have drought, when you have a heat wave, when you have a water shortage, it is common sense. It's obvious that the top portion is going to dry out first. So by putting this straw underground, you don't cover it right away. You soak this straw and then you cover it. Once you cover the straw, then you put on the top layer of soil and you plant your seeds or your seedlings or your starters, and then you soak it again. This way, when you do have weather like we're having today, weather where it's just hot, and that moisture dries up from the top portion of your soil, once your plants are established, once you have roots, those roots are going to reach down, and they're going to reach down to where this straw is. And that straw is going to be feeding your plants as it breaks down, but it's also going to be giving you moisture to the roots of whatever it is you're growing. And I'm telling you, it takes some work. It's a little extra time, costs you a little money, but it, in the end, is worth it. So that's my number 10. That's my top 10 of ways that you can save money. Like I said, it's just the middle of June. I mean, my goodness, we still have the rest of June. We have July, August, September. So I am trying to help you guys, once again, as always, to save money. These are the things that work for me. You can try one, you can try several, you can try all, you can try them in combination, but please try them. A few of these might cost you a few dollars, like the drip hose or the moisture meter, but at the end of the day, you will save money. So that's it for me. I'm going to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm also going to ask you for a favor. I'm going to ask you to repost this video, send it to your friends, or rewatch it. Take notes. I will put a link to my other video that that pertains to ways that you can save water, which is well, the shade cloth video. That's what I was trying to think of. I will post a link to that one, so that will help guide you in making your decision if you're new on this. So that's it. I'm the Frugal Gardener. Remember, when you grow your own food, you'll always know where it comes from. I'll catch you guys in a few days. I have another video coming out, and I'll always have a new video on Friday, so please subscribe. This is the Frugal Gardener. You guys make it a great day, and I'll catch you on the next one.